Greetings everyone, this is Hibzilla702 here, doing my very first video. So, this is my entire NECA Godzilla collection here. I pretty much have all of the ones so far, with the exception of the orange burning Godzilla. That's the only one I'm missing. But I did notice something among the NECA community is that a lot of people who like to collect Godzilla figures and Kaiju can't really afford the Monster Arts figures that run about $100 each. So for those of us who are kind of cheap-ass kaiju collectors, we have to go with the NECA series, which honestly is not bad as far as the detail and articulation for the figures. It's actually really, really good. Now you will notice that I do have one non-NECA series, which is that Zilla figure there. That's the old Trendmasters, I believe. But other than that, these are all NECA figures. But as I was saying, a lot of people that collect these just can't afford the $100 price range per figure, and so you do kind of run into a dilemma. You have all of these Godzilla figures here, but you don't have any kind of villains or adversaries for them to fight. So that can create kind of a dilemma when you want something for a cool display. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the things that you can do to add to your little displays for Godzilla. Well, starting off here, these are probably one of the best examples that I've found as far as cheap alternatives for NECA Godzilla adversaries. And these come from actually a very old school place. These guys are part of a old vintage Techno Spawn series. These were some of the animals that went with that series, which are supposed to be like some sort of cybernetic animal hybrids. And they come in several different varieties. I have some of them displayed here. This guy is probably one of my favorites. He is very much a King Kong-like creature, heavily armored with cybernetic enhancements. Even has humongous detail on the head inside the dome, which can actually rotate his head around, but his head is like fused into it. Probably my favorite out of the entire bunch. Next you have this crocodile kind of creature that goes really well for like a swimming display. It has all of these large, like gigantic cannons and rifles attached to him. And then there's this guy, who basically essentially comes down to what looks like a giant robotic turkey. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Giant robot turkey. Goblox. But as I was saying, these guys are probably one of your best bets for having some sort of animal-themed kaiju. On eBay, you could probably net some of these figures for roughly about $9–10, especially out of the box. That's where I got these guys, mostly about $10, and that included shipping. You'll probably pay a little bit more if they do come in their packages, but hopefully you can get them a little bit cheaper. Now, their articulation isn't great. These guys are from a line that are probably like the late 90s, early 2000s. So they do have some articulation in the arms a little bit, depending obviously on the creature that they are. They do have some firing, little effects with them. But don't expect like massively awesome articulation, but they will get the job done for a kaiju display. Now this guy did have a head that came off. That's one of the reasons why I got him so cheap. As you can see here, I did manage to repair him with some magnets and glue. So now you can just say he has decapitation action. Up next, we have some more examples of what you can use. Over here, I have, I think was a knockoff Grimlock model kit figure called Cable King. Kind of a silly name, but I got him online from China for about $12. The other like real version goes for much more than that. But as you can see here in his dino mode, he's a little bit shorter than the NECA figure Godzilla's, but not by too much. You could probably stretch that into like an adversary. So it looks pretty cool. If you're looking for like a Mecha Godzilla kind of esque kaiju, he might get the job done, or any of the other Hasbro figures that are out there would also work. Now over here is the NES Godzilla figure. That's actually from the same mold as him. I haven't had the heart to break him out of his truly awesome packaging that NECA did. But as you can see here, I have the Metroid figure that is actually on eBay. I think it's called World of Nintendo Metroid figure. And I got him on ridiculous sale price during one of their sales. So if you just kind of keep an eye out, you might be able to get him pretty cheap. Although his normal retail price is $30, you can get him for way less than half that if you're lucky. And while he is a little bit larger, he does go pretty well in scale still with the Godzilla figures. Alright, kind of wind it down here, guys, but I do have the last few examples of some things that you can use. Of course, there's always some of the Jurassic Park or other like dinosaur figurines or statues that you could stretch and use them in your Godzilla displays. Most of them will run about to scale with these. And if you wanted to keep it in the NECA family, there are some other examples of some things that you could buy, including the Pacific Rim, the very first movie Pacific Rim. You can buy some of their Jaeger figures that are actually pretty much into scale with the 6-inch Godzillas. Now, they do have some fairly good articulation, and you can get some pretty cool looking battles in between them. Now, there are some of the Jaegers that are quite a bit bigger. They may not fit into scale so well with how you're going to want them to look with Godzilla. The Kaiju in that series, which I do have one right here, are quite larger, I'd say, in comparison to Godzilla. So that is kind of a stretch if you do put them in a battle together. Unfortunately, they do run quite large. Finally is the Alien series. If you wanted to use some of the more obscure ones, like the Kenner remakes here with the Mantis, you could put them with Godzilla. I do have her quite a bit squatted down here just to show you if you were to actually stand her up. She would be much taller, but it is a stretch. However, I could see where some people could make it work. I did forget to say earlier that some of those Spawn figurines, that was from that one particular series. There are several different ones that included animals or monsters that you could stretch out and use them as kaiju, so definitely keep an eye out for some of those vintage Spawn figures. I do have one final obvious answer here for some of your Godzilla accessories. There are these ships and many other military-looking vessels on eBay that you can find. I got 2 of these ships for $1, if you can believe that are pretty much in scale with how it would be with Godzilla. So you can pick these up as a ridiculously cheap accessory to use for Godzilla scenes. I think that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate you watching and taking a look at this video. If you have any other suggestions or any comments you'd like to make about the Godzilla NECA series, please leave them in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching.